monster on the staircase. It is hot today. Do you mind?
Is that a video? Yeah.
If you just put like a dragon in. No, and he can
Where am I? I'm here.
Do you remember when Scotland tried to leave? They would have had to have taken the blue out of our flag.
This is the English flag.
They were going to make it like black and red.
Interesting.
There was like a list of things that it could have looked like, and they all looked horrendous.
Guys, I'll show you why they consider. Okay, so what we're going to do is get into two groups about.
So some people pull out. I really like it here because you never meet anybody else. We're always the only people here, which in one way is sad, but in another way it's great that we are here. This is Cornwall Plan, and we're here because there's an old Georgian buried here, a guy called John Hudson Dean. Nothing very special about him. He wasn't like head boy, he wasn't captain of this or in charge of that. He was just like you, normal guy, joined St George's in 1929, left in 1936, joined the army when war was declared, and he ended up as a tank commander. He was commander of one of those special tanks that were designed by Percy Hobart. Remember the good-looking guy? The special tanks to help overcome strong German defences. So he was commander of one of these, in your booklet, one of these flamethrower tanks. The Churchill flamethrower. It comes with a trailer of petrol, and the petrol pipe feeds up to the front of the tank, and it can fire a jet of burning petrol about 100 metres. It can also fire a jet of petrol and not set it alight, so it will like flood the entirety of a trench system, and then they can set it on fire. So a really terrifying but very unreliable weapon. And he was in charge of a troop, so that's 3 of these particular tanks. He was a unit called the Buffs. My wristwatch strap is the regimental colours of the Buffs. They don't exist anymore, but I was getting a new watch strap and this one was available, so I thought it was a nice way of remembering the bloke. The action that took place here was almost 73 years to the day 7th of July today. He got killed on the 8th of July 1944. If you remember the landing area, and you can picture it now I'm sure, we're over here near Cons-en-Plaine. You can see they've hardly got anywhere in 4 weeks because the Germans have reorganised, they've brought up reinforcements, and at this point in the front line they brought up one of their toughest units. In the German armed forces there was a group called the SS, you might be familiar with. They were almost like a sub-army, and they were the most motivated, highly well equipped, highly well trained soldiers. And the ones that fought here were the Hitler Youth SS division. So they're 17, 18, 19-year-olds, so they're incredibly young. But if you think about the sequence of years, this is 1944. Hitler came to power in 1933. So if you're 17, Hitler came into power when you were 6. You don't know anything other than the Nazis and Nazism, and you're completely brainwashed to fight like a maniac. So although they were young people, they were incredibly tough and very hard to overcome. And that's in contrast to maybe over the other side, where we talked about sometimes they're old guys or they're reservists or they're Russian prisoners of war. So the attack that happened here was up against very tough opposition. It wasn't any special event, it was part of a big operation called Operation Goodwood. When these people got killed, it wouldn't have even made a little item at the bottom of page 4. It's a complete non-event, unless of course you're one of the families or one of the people involved. There are 224 graves in the cemetery, and they all come from that one little bit of action which took place literally right here. This is where they fought, this is where they were buried. They come largely from the North Staffordshire Regiment, South Staffordshire Regiment, Norfolk Regiment. They're all infantry units, people who fought on foot. So Staffordshire is like Stoke-on-Trent in the Midlands, that helps you imagine. Norfolk's in East Anglia. So those units are involved, and then the tanks are used to support them and the infantry to support the tanks. As you can tell from the number of graves, the attack didn't go particularly well. They lost about a quarter killed of the people who were involved in the attack. But that's quite normal. That's what you'd expect. Those soldiers you saw in the film coming off the boat, sort of smiling, going into action, that's what would happen to all of them in terms of a loss rate. John Hudson Dean was killed on the night of 8th into 9th of July. During the attack, 2 of the tanks that he was in charge of either broke down or got hit. One of them got destroyed basically, 2 guys killed, 3 guys wounded when an anti-tank gun blew the tank up. Another one, its gearbox broke and all it could do was like drive round and round in circles because it couldn't actually straighten up, and they were firing their gun as best they could. So in the middle of the night, John Hudson Dean, because he was in charge, he thought he should go out and try and see if they could recover the damaged tanks to fix them and use them again. And as he was going out, crawling through no man's land I guess, he heard some wounded people crying out, and he went to try and help them, and that's when he trod on one of those S-mines. Remember the ones I told you about, where you tread on it, you hear a click, it jumps up to waist height, blows up, lots of ball bearings, and he died very soon afterwards. A sergeant was with him who tried to bring his body back, but he couldn't manage to. He went back to the command post to report what had happened, and John Hudson Dean's second in command was a guy called Lieutenant Beachy. So I'm imagining as a captain or a lieutenant, they'd be quite close in age, quite close in education and so on. He wanted to get the guy's body back, so he crawled out into no man's land. He himself then trod on a mine, was wounded, and died the next day a little way away from here in a field hospital. So Beachy, I think, is almost sadder than John Hudson Dean, and that's why when we come here, as well as laying a wreath to John Hudson Dean, because he's an old Georgian, we lay a wreath to Lieutenant Beachy, because I think that's quite a story for somebody to go out and try and rescue or recover the body of their mate. So we're going to go down together. The grave's down on the right there. We'll go down and form a couple of lines, and Libby and Patrick are going to lay the wreath for us. We've got some crucifixes left over here, so if you want one to plant somewhere in the cemetery, you might particularly have a look down at the last line of graves, which I remember they're all like 1920, 1920. It's really striking how young a lot of the guys in this cemetery are. Same rules as normal in a cemetery. and the same time scale, in the sense that if you feel you've had enough, you've done 3 cemeteries, just get back on the coach. Nobody will criticise you, but they will criticise you if you start chatting or losing concentration. Okay? So as long or as little as is appropriate for you. Do you want to follow me down? One line here and one line here towards gravestones. So back up, come in, Patrick, go over where Libby is. Sabbath, are all yours? Lord, I hope everybody can take away from our 4 days together something meaningful that helps people to think about who they are, and how they in their own way can live up to an example of sacrifice and duty that our old Georgians like John Hudson Dean have shown us. Amen.